Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ellie if you're new here. If you're not new here, welcome back. Happy to see ya. Thank you all so much for your patience with this upload. I was in the middle of doing Vlogmas and I just put a little bit too much on my plate. As a lot of you know, I was graduating school. I had family, life, boyfriend stuff going on, so I think I just overcommitted myself a little bit, but I'm excited to be here in the new year in 2025. I have a lot of really fun video stuff coming up, but today we are going to be talking about my trend predictions in the knitwear designer world for 2025. So this is really just the result of me going through my Pinterest and finding things that I think are really cool, maybe things that we really didn't see a whole lot of in the last year and things that I think are going to pop up more this year. These are certainly not professional opinions, just kind of honestly things I hope are going to come up and things that I think are really, really fresh and very interesting. So I thought it'd be fun to share those with you all, and this video is definitely heavily inspired both in format and content by Lainey Ozark. If you haven't heard of her, definitely go check her out. She makes really excellent videos about sustainable fashion, and she just has a lot of excellent takes about fashion. So with that being said, I have a couple of ideas listed here that I've been just kind of writing down as they come to me over the last couple of weeks. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So the first trend prediction that I'm hoping to see more of is layered knits. Not just layered in the sense of putting a scarf over top of a hand knit sweater, but I'm talking fingering, lace weight, itty bitty, thin knit pieces layered over other thin knit pieces. The inspiration picture that sort of got me thinking about this as a trend that we might see in the future is this piece from Ranty Studio. They're based in the UK, and I love this piece. I don't know if I think it's all connected. But this could very easily be achieved by knitting two separate pieces and layering them on top of each other. But I'm very intrigued by the idea of layered, lightweight knits like that and just adding that really, really great texture. This is another example. I really love the way that it looks like it's built in, this look of the sweater sleeves tied in a knot and over top of that sweater vest. I love how that looks. I think that's so cool. And that's definitely a trend that we've seen a lot of, but it would be really cool to see that in the hand knit space. This is probably my all-time favorite example of this sort of layered knitwear look. I love the idea of a tank over top of a cardigan. I really like how the buttons look, peeking out the top and the bottom. And again, that really, really lightweight, almost lace weight yarn is just perfect for this layering look. So very much hoping to see more of this in 2025. This next one, I didn't really know what to call it, so I'm just gonna call it Victorian silhouettes. What I mean by that is just a very defined waistline, almost kind of a corset look. I think that in this past year, we got really into the colorwork space and a lot of the kind of oversized, boxy, cropped or oversized, longer sweaters. It would be very interesting to see this kind of vertical ribbed illusion knitwear design. This one is really very, very cool. I really like the mustardy color. I really like how it looks like if you were to pull apart the sweater, that it would have the white kind of exposed behind the mustard color. I think that's really cool. I love the center buttons, that they don't go all the way down. And I just think it's a very cool and unique look. This is another example, again, that very itty bitty tiny ribbing around the bottom waist section with the stockinette up at the top. I love the keyhole. I think that's a really fresh take on an interesting neckline. I understand that pretty much none of these are actual hand knit pieces, but it would be cool to kind of push the boundaries of how close hand knits can get to some of these machine made pieces. Because I just think, I don't know, I'm really into that really lightweight look right now. And I think it's just very, very flattering. Here's a similar look, but in a kind of cardigan vest combo. The heathered yarn on this is just absolutely amazing. And I love when buttons are the same color as a piece, so they don't really detract from the general aesthetic of the look. I really like that the top section looks like it would be almost a little bit baggy compared to that tighter bottom. But again, that very tight ribbing, I'm very drawn to at the moment. I just think it looks so professional and sleek and cool. This one's just kind of wild, and it crosses over a little bit with that ski lodge / funnel neck look that we've been seeing. I'm gonna kind of merge from Victorian styles that I was talking about and merge into the sort of ski lodge aesthetic, because I think that it would be a good transition with this piece because it kind of falls into both categories. I love the vertical stripe on this. That's another thing that I'm hoping that we see a bit more of, is vertical striping. It's a little bit trickier to do in terms of color work with hand knitting because you're not alternating every row, you're doing, you know, that alternating within the row to get that vertical stripe. But I just think that it looks so cool. And this piece in particular at a little ski lodge or something cool, a nice little winter cabin, I just think is so interesting. And I love I wouldn't quite call it color blocking, having that large area of just plain stockinette mixed in with the striping, and then that little accent band around the waist of the ribbed, just plain color, I think is so flattering and so cool. So talking about a little bit more of that ski lodge look and that funnel neck, these almost remind me of vintage Patagonia pieces. I really love a funnel neck. These look to be vintage knitted pieces, but the color work is so complex, but so utterly beautiful. And I'm really into the contrasting horizontal and vertical stripe, especially when you have that contrast between the neck and the sleeve. I just think that adds a lot of visual interest. That's really, really interesting. And there's a lot of collarless looks right now in knitwear, but I think it would be intriguing to see not quite a turtleneck, but a very structured funnel neck, especially as more people are designing more outerwear in knitwear in the hand knit space. I think that would be really cool to see. This next trend we've already seen a little bit of in 2024, but I think we're going to continue to see it, and that is asymmetry. I am really intrigued by the asymmetrical button look, the ones that kind of go across the chest. I feel like this one might be a little bit controversial in the sense that I think that it's one of those things, it's kind of like tabbies. You either really love them or you really cannot stand them. I was not sure about the asymmetry look until I think I just got used to it. I saw so much of it on my Pinterest and on my Instagram, and I just couldn't help but fall in love with it. I just think it's really cool. And I'm really hoping that we see even more explorations in asymmetry when it comes to even having two different kinds of yarn within a project. I have this one image in mind that'll pop up on the screen, but having just a little block of a different color or a block of color work compared to a plain stockinette on the rest of the piece. I just think that would be super interesting. And I'm very intrigued to see where asymmetry goes in 2025. This next category is something that I really, really hope is going to take hold in the new year, and that is tapestry inspired hand knits. There's someone on Instagram that I'm thinking of specifically. I'll put her handle here, but she makes these medieval kind of tapestry knit pieces that are actually the most phenomenal things ever. Her color choices and how intricately she designs these pieces are just amazing. And I really want to see more imagery and color work. 2024 has definitely been a big year for color work, especially returning back to very traditional color work. But we did see a little bit of a rise of people putting lettering and color work and kind of going a bit more experimental with it. But I would love to see really intricate portraits or intricate scenes in that sort of tapestry style, but it's hand knit. I think that is so, so cool. I've had this one piece saved on my Instagram forever of this person that crocheted an image of themselves and their mother when they were young on a wall hanging, and it is so cool. I'm also curious to see if hand knitting will go into the wall art space. We've definitely seen a rise in people hanging their knit samples up on their wall, kind of like what I have behind me. So I'm curious if tapestry inspired knitting, if that's going to continue to be a thing. I'd be very curious to see if that would transition into knitwear designers creating pieces for wall art. I think that could be really cool. This next category, again, didn't really know what to call it, so I just called it tiny tees. And this is definitely just harken back to the very kind of 1950s, 1960s style of those little tiny kind of cropped shirts that have a large amount of ribbing on the bottom with that cute little short sleeve. I really hope that we see more of those in 2025. I think it's such a cute look. I love this one with this little bow. I really want to see these tiny tees with fresh details like that. Just something a little out there, but that's still really wearable. That really appeals to me a lot. I love the mixture of those two colors as well. Next trend prediction is pockets. I am very intrigued to see more pockets on more just plain crew neck sweaters. We definitely saw a lot of front pockets on projects like the Nomad jacket or those sort of thicker outerwear pieces, but I would love to see a little side pocket on just a normal pullover sweater. I just think it adds a lot of visual interest to the piece. I think that you have to be very careful about the proportion of the pocket because it could kind of throw the whole piece out of whack. But I think when it's done well, it is very, very interesting and could really spice up the sort of plain crew neck look. I also, just as a side note, I think that the rise of front pockets on things like sweaters is a response to the moving away from tucking everything in. Even right now, I'm kind of shocked by myself. I'm wearing this skirt with this white collared shirt untucked. Since 2012, whenever I really started being on Tumblr, whatever year that was, I have been die-hard, high-waisted, tucked in, always fitting at the waist. But I think lately we've been having a bit of a separation from that. People have been getting more into the low-rise stuff. And so it would be very interesting to see if in response to that, of people untucking their pieces, it would be very interesting to see if there's a rise in front pockets on long sleeve shirts or vests or sweaters, things like that. That also ties into what I was talking about with the tiny ribbing, with those layered pieces of those Victorian silhouettes. The reason why those work is because they're not tucked. They're something that sits sort of up on top of your clothes. So that could also tie into that anti-tucking trend that we've been seeing. This next one, I never would have thought that I would talk about because not too long ago, I was kind of anti this, but I feel like slouchy shawls and poncho sort of looks are going to be a little bit more in this year. This example here kind of ties in with my layered knit pieces look idea, but I think this is so cool. Granted, this is very impractical because you couldn't really wear a jacket over top of this in the winter. You would have to find just the right kind of weather to wear this in where you wouldn't have to layer anything else on top. But I just think this is so chic. The look of the off the shoulder kind of poncho-y shawl look mixed in with the classic crew neck, I just think is so cool. This is just a very plain poncho, but again, very cool, layered with another knit sweater underneath, again untucked over top of some wide leg pants, it looks like. Really love how simple and cozy that is. And finally, the last prediction that I have for the new year for 2025 knitwear is what I'm going to call watercolor colorwork. This is 100% inspired by the Margaret sweater by Lynette. The second that I saw this in this specific muted colorway with that mohair all kind of blending together, I just prayed to the gods that we saw more muted color work in 2025. I think that contrasting is really important and very good in specific circumstances, but it would be so fun for us to play with a little bit more muted colors, things that kind of blend together where it's not so much about the crisp lines and it's more about the colors and how they play together. I just think that is so unbelievably beautiful, and I really hope that we see more of that in the new year. That is it for today's video. I had a lot of fun putting this together, and I feel very inspired going into the new year about what I'm looking for in terms of patterns and what I would like my hand knit collection to look like. If you guys want to follow me on Pinterest, my handle is just all wool fiber. I pin a lot of different kinds of stuff on there, so it's not all just knitwear, but if you want to just follow the knitwear board, I'll link that down below. I'd be very curious to hear what you all think is going to be trendy in 2025. Feel free to comment below different colors or yarns or designers that you think are going to really be big this year. I'd love to hear about it. So that is it for today's video, and I'll look forward to seeing you all next week. Take care. Bye.